Alright, I am going to sit here for just a minute and see who joins me. So, just popping in to say hey. Hope you all are blessed, good health, happiness. Good evening. How are you, Cynthia? Good evening. I saw you were on and just popped in for a quick minute. Well, thank you, Compass. Yeah, been over checking out some things. I think I had intended, not really, but you guys know. I thought about this being a Sunday and I kind of missed the Sunday chats, but I was busy doing something and I just really wanted to. I didn't even get finished, but I wanted to get done for the day. So I was on Rainbow Resource. You guys know me. I was looking for books. My kids are, they want books. So I was looking for good books. Um, yeah, not to say that I'm going to purchase all of them from there, but I have a cart and I will purchase. Just depending. I'm doing good in you. Yeah, I'm good. Like I say, blessed, happy, healthy. Couldn't ask for more. And I think that's about all everybody should be grateful for. But yeah, I'm trying to, like I said, looking for books, not curriculum, but let me tell you guys, where I stopped, I wasn't even halfway done. My cart was at $115. And to me, that's a lot because you guys know I can get a lot of books for $20 if I want to. So, I mean, it was quite a bit of books too, but it was a lot. And so what my plan is, I have a lot of things that I need to sell. And so I am not purchasing anything. Um, I can sell two things and get the $100 real quick. Um, it's curriculum. But that's my plan. I'm just going to turn it over. I'm not investing anything. I'm just turning it over. So, and then I still have my cart on eBay that I need to go through. I'll probably go through that tomorrow and pick up whatever, I don't know, for the month. But yeah, I'm just not into this. This. I don't know how long I've been doing this. I think it might be a year. Well, no, I can't say a year because I have spent. It might have been 6 months. No spending. I haven't bought anything. So, yeah, it's just turn it over and buy something new. And, that's how I keep it moving. When I think, especially books, I really don't have the room. And so when I purchase, I have to think about where I'm going to put them. And if I can't get rid of something, if I love it that much, then obviously I'm not buying anything else. And to me, that's kind of selfish, especially for the kids. If they want I have to learn to, we've used it, we've loved it, and you know, and usually it's something I've already bought for the older kids, so I bought it again anyway. So, we're not gonna miss anything if I get rid of it. Yeah, we have to make room. I try to keep things to a minimum. Browsing books is always favorite pastime. Yes, and reading. I love going to Goodwill. Yes, our Goodwill is kind of far, but that is a good place. I'm looking for a lot of specific books. So that's what's taking me so long. My kids are not. They're not. You guys know they're very literature driven. So they don't go for anything. It has to be something worth their time, or they just won't sit and listen. So one of the things I realized, we had put down, what is that behind me? The Ramona series, and picked up a couple of other books. And we'll have 2-3 chapter books going at a time. But I told them we're going to pick it back up. And yeah, so that means we're going to have 3 going at the same time this week. I'm missing Ramona Quimby, age 8. So I need to get that one. So that is one of my, not that big of a fan of Ramona, but the kids love it and they listen, and it is good. She has some good, good little morals for them. A good example for uh, what not to do. Ramona is very mischievous, so I think that's why they gravitate towards her. Um, it leads for good discussion. And I think, let's see, what did I just ask them? What were we choosing from? I gave them a choice the other day between the Boxcar Children and Winn-Dixie. And they chose Winn-Dixie. So tomorrow we're going to start Winn-Dixie. Let's see it now. And they want to watch the movie. And I really like to I really like to read the book before we do the movie. And I love Winn-Dixie. My older kids love Winn-Dixie. We would watch that over and over and over again. But let me get this gnat flying in front of me. I think what I'm going to do, like I do most of the time, is get a few chapters in, and then let them start watching the movie in 30-minute increments. That way we'll kind of finish the book and the movie at the same time. I know they're going to try to watch the movie longer than 30 minutes. I already know that, but then they'll be more interested if that happens. They'll really want to finish the book. See, I finally purged quite a bit of curriculum this past summer, but reading books is harder for us. We have bookshelves upstairs, downstairs, and in all the rooms. Hey, that's what you do. I'd rather have books than anything else. Yeah. Yeah, purging. I'm purging so much, and I will get into that in the next couple of weeks to let you all know what is going on. There's a lot. I haven't really, things are going to, if you've been watching the videos, things have changed, but not really changed. It's just, you all are just now seeing the change. For us, the stuff is really old, I say. That you're seeing is because I'm trying to catch up. Like summertime, old. But, yeah. Hopefully I can sit down and just get a block of time and just get these videos up so that they'll make sense. But a lot of the stuff that they were using and we were doing, they have graduated a lot. Just the learning, it's like when you give a child, if you read a book, I don't know, when the child is 5 or 4, and then you read it again when they're 7 or 8, they're going to have a whole new understanding. And so that's what's going on. They're looking at books with a whole new level of understanding, and I am using those books differently than just reading them. So I have a whole book list. I'm going to share the book list. I haven't been sharing, and so I think that's what I'm going to do. Share at least from the summer up until, I don't know, honestly, because we read so many books. I can tell you, if we read 3-chapter books at a time, we go through a lot of books in a week and a lot of books in a month. So I want to try to do it at least once a month, but I don't know if that'll happen. A lot of times I might just post a picture up on Instagram, and those are the books that we're reading, or those are the books that we have read and that we're using to do something with. So yeah, I have a lot of books too. I call it our personal library. Yes, that is what we have, a personal library. Our room, they refer to this room as the library. This is not the homeschool room. You will always hear them say the library. They've always said the library. And so that was their name for this room. So it's the library. Yeah, I have a whole list going, and I think, well, you're going to have to wait a little bit. It might be, some of them are stories, but it might be enough to get us through the next month. I called myself doing a good job, but then when I actually thought about mapping it out and calculating how long it takes, to actually read them, it's not that many. So I'm going to have to fill in with some small things and just make sure I have the lessons packed with whatever. None of us will ever be at the mercy of the public library when we're looking for something good to read. And that's the truth. That is the truth. So you come in here and look around. There's a whole library right here. So, and that's where I am most of the time. I'm sitting down reading. It's interesting to say, when I hear parents say they can't get their children to read, or they're struggling in reading. A lot of that is parent error, because parents are not reading. Parents are doing this. Okay? Even if it's on a Kindle or a tablet or whatever, they're doing this. And so that's what the child is used to seeing. They don't see you. That's why I like to physically have the books. Some things I will read to them from PDF. Most likely I will print it out. Even if it's long, I'll just print a chapter at a time. But I don't like them to see me reading from my phone or, on the computer or anything like that. I like books. And that really does make a difference. If they see you read, they'll read. Sorry, he pop in and out, but I have to run and deal with the kids at bedtime. No problem. I completely understand. That's right, Compass. We live in a tiny town with no library. The closest library is 20 minutes away. Yeah, that's like us. So, yeah, I just encourage you to, get down and get books, even if you do have to go to the library. Why are you standing behind me? I can see you. Get some books and, physically hold them in your hands. And, the kids will come in here and they'll see me reading. And they know, and they'll go get books. So I try to spend that time in the morning. That way I'm not distracted.
Hi. Hi.
You have to come right over here. There you go.
Hi. Hi.
All right.
Kayla, move.
All right. Everybody can say hi one time.
Look, I see us. Hi.
Are you over here?
Hi. Yes.
Okay, say hi. You have to. All right, goodbye.
Bye.
You want to say hi? You're way out of the frame. Here. Okay, say hi.
Hi.
All right. Go have a seat.
Bye. Why is this on the table? Hi, kids. Bye.
Because you were reading that, right?
Yeah.
What were you supposed to be? What did you read? Who turned the? What was the address you were looking for? You don't remember?
No, I don't remember.
I don't remember. I remember, but I don't remember. I will find it.
You don't remember anymore?
Was it? It was Luke. What?
Luke.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2. Chapter 2.
I think it was Luke chapter 2 that you were reading. Yep, right here. Here. Okay, go have a seat. Luke chapter 2.
Luke chapter 2.
Take it to the table. Other table. Get down.
What table? Little kids.
Go take it to the living room.
That's what she's
Hello,
talking
sweetie.
about.
Oh, they are so cute. Hello. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
In your book.
Can I use this?
Yes, you may.
I want to use
Well, you need to get your book. So, yeah.
Okay, take this. I hate to
Get them situated. All right, he is reading.
I don't get this to read.
They were reading about the birth of Jesus. Anyways, what else was I going to say? I have a lot of things a lot of new things coming up. I have a lot of just, I don't know, things I want to talk about. Huh? He what?
He found that blue.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mom, I don't have one.
You don't have what?
Her yellow book.
Look in her basket.
It's right.
A lot of things that I want to just talk about, discuss, chat about, dialogue about. And I don't know. Just, I think I've been holding back, but
yeah, a dinosaur.
Just kind of put some things in perspective, because sometimes I just sit and wonder if other people think the same, or not that people should think the same, but this is some things that I see, and it just makes me wonder, do people ever realize the battles? I hear a lot of struggles, half the struggles, where they're actually stemming from, especially in schooling. I hear we had a struggle week, or a struggle year, or, struggle day, and it's like, do keep going, or do you take time to think about why what happened, what caused that, the deep realm of it? Because in essence, mom, as the teacher, is the heartbeat. And so if I say my kids are struggling, 99% of that has to do with me. Even though I want to say it may be the child, it has to do with me. And I don't think we really take responsibility like we should, and we don't hold the children accountable. So it's kind of a two-way. I'm not saying that it's just all my fault, but it's a two-way, because it's not just the schooling. That's the stem. That's not why they're having a bad day, or we're having a bad day, or having a bad week. School would have nothing to do with it. That would just be the blanket excuse to throw over it. Just like if a child is not feeling well and they don't tell you that they're not feeling well, they're going to have a bad day. You might not even know that they're not feeling well. So ultimately, it's that they're not feeling well. But you just see they don't want to do their schoolwork. So, but yeah, basically accountability. I'm seeing that a lot. I'm seeing it a lot. It's one of those things you have to live and learn, and I want to get down to the real heart of it. This is something that we don't have instruction manuals, but we do. It was mandated in the Bible, and some of us do not follow. We say we do, but we don't. And that's why I said, if you don't have faith, and not just in school, but if you don't have faith, in true faith, I hear, this all the time, we have faith, I have faith, but truly you don't, because when things go wrong, you get upset, you fall into depression, you want to yell and scream. I hear that all the time. I'm yelling. I want to stop yelling at my kids, and I'm like, I had to live and learn. Yelling does not work. It doesn't work at all. It doesn't work. I don't care if it's close the door. Don't do that. And that's a big one. It doesn't work. So you have to have faith. You really have to have faith. Mustard seed faith. Yes.
I want my yellow book.
Does anybody know where her yellow workbook is? Is it in her basket?
Maybe.
Can you?
It's not.
Is it in somebody else's basket?
Wait.
Go check her basket again, or bring me.
Okay, we'll check it. Mom,
I'm not sure what happened.
Mom, look what's in this magazine. Where? Where's Star
Will you go and check for her yellow book, please?
Okay. Where?
So, raising kids are hard, but I just take it one day at a time. Exactly. And I think what happens is, because everybody's a mom, they want to, they feel like they have to, and hi, how are you, Mama Four? They have to.
Mom, Leah had hers all along.
Oh, okay, thank you. Take it into the living room and help her with it. Have all the answers, and they have to, you have to be super mom. You're not going to be super mom. It just, here I am on another set of kids. I can't even say I'm super mom. I do a lot of stuff, but goodness, this is a whole set of kids, whole new set of kids. They're completely, these are millennial kids. And that's another topic I have coming up on the millennial mom. But these are millennial kids. These kids are a whole different breed. I'm telling you. What's the matter? Okay, go get your workbook. So I have to, patience is a virtue. Like I said, I have the little halo hanging over my head. I have the patience of a saint. Because some days it's just like, wow. My method is I keep my knees dirty. That's how I make it. I don't want to be super mom, although I feel like it. I know, right? I think hats off to any mom, because, like I said, it's hard. It is hard. It is hard. Nobody said it was going to be easy, but it's hard. And the older they get, and the older they get, the worse it gets. That's fine, but take it into the living room for me, everybody. Take it into the living room. To Layla, Tariq, go and take it into the living room.
Okay.
Yeah, and so when I come back and kind of talk about what I was saying earlier about moms being responsible and holding their children accountable, is really a message for moms with little ones, but also for, you can, if you're doing the things that you're doing now, you can change. Anybody can change it. You have to be willing to accept that you have to change it and move on from there. And everybody knows that, once I get to it, everybody is going to recognize it. I'm not going to single anybody out. But it takes discipline. That's something I've always talked to you all about, is discipline. It takes a great discipline. You have to seriously discipline yourself. Discipline yourself outside of everybody in the house. Okay, it's just something you have to rise above, kind of, and just set yourself apart and stick with it. Everybody else will fall in line. Not to mention the fear for your kids going out into the world. Exactly. Yeah. And, I have half of them, out there, and it's a lot. And then, they're not, I still say they're my babies, even though, I'm 23 and 21, they're still babies. They, 20-year-old, you can tell a 20-year-old. You can't tell them anything, but they don't know anything. Sometimes it's a good idea to drop the books and go spend a day out at the museum or beach or lake. Another great way. Exactly. Hey, love. Exactly. And that's why a lot of times they'll be outside in the backyard. I let them outside. They do all kinds of stuff out there. Just all kinds of stuff. They were doing some stuff on the birds, and just watching the habits of the birds, and how they eat and how they fly, and how they're breathing. And they appreciate that, that stuff outside of learning inside, in a book. So, yeah, they're still my babies. Yep, they are, until they are forever. They are going to be my babies. I have to remind them of that. Yeah, because they, once they get certain age, they want to think that they're my friends. I said, no, baby, I'm your mama. I'm going to be your mama till the day I die and after, okay? I'm not your friend. Never have been and never will be. Well, yes, forever not getting around. Yeah, boy, boy, boy. It is funny, they get 21 and then they want to tell you some stuff that I said, oh, what? The 21 made you do that? 21 gonna make you get a behind whooping. It's gonna kick you. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, spending, just my oldest is 21. Yeah, they give you heart attacks. Yeah, spend the day out. And even if it's not a day out, spend a day doing something unusual, that you wouldn't normally do. And just let your kids, explore, anything. Just to sit down. I just sit down and watch them a lot of time. It's just neat just to watch them and just listen to them. Some of the things that they say and scenarios and things like that. Like, wow. Then I have to call the other kids and tell them, hey, guess what so-and-so said? It's just so interesting. And that, it helps me out when I'm helping them because I say, okay, well, I just found out that so-and-so doesn't like this or they don't like this. And maybe I was trying to have them do something and it just, it's not their cup of tea. Kids are little people. They're not just kids. They're little people and they should be treated like little people. And at the same time, kids are, they need some direction and they need to be nurtured. You can talk about the trees, the rings inside the trees, tell you there's drought, etc. Yes, my kids will pick up the most interesting things. They're bringing in crickets and just all kinds of stuff. Okay. So you guys see them writing about birds, that's a proud moment. And, they write, oh, I feel happy when I saw that bird. It just made me so happy to, be able to watch that bird and watch that squirrel. And it's like, wow. Talk about the animals and how they live and about God's creation. Exactly. Because there's so much other stuff, you expose the children to television and things like that. These kids get, that's not the right thing to do because they get exposed to the wrong thing. And there's so many other good things out there, Like I say, we don't have an instruction manual, but actually we do. It was all prescribed, and it's about how you want to perceive it. Some people take it lightly. Some people, they want to teach it as I need a Bible curriculum. You really need a Bible curriculum. It's a nice guide. If you find something that, kind of keeps you on track, something interesting that lines up with the way you already think and live, yes, but don't try to incorporate something into your life and into your family because it will not work. That's why I can never, I can show you all things and things like that, but I can't say, here, use this, because if you don't live like that yourself, you can't give it to your children. Your children are not dumb. They know better. You know, I'm one of those. Oh, I see. One things I see all the time is a parent. Every parent is guilty of this, and you have to really take heart and just buckle down. No, you have to learn no, and your no from the beginning, from a very small infant, has to be a true no, and you have to stick to it every single time. Once you falter one time, that child has you, and I see that a whole lot. That is a lot of the reason why there is burnout and power struggles in these kids in this homeschool, because they know your no is not a no. They will break you down after 5 minutes, after 10 minutes, after an hour. They break you down, and you say, well, okay, if you do this, there is no well, okay in here. I'm not bargaining with anybody. If I tell you no, it's no. If I told you no yesterday, it's no today. It's no next week, and it's no next year, and that's the end of the subject. Like I could see somebody. You tell the child, you have to train these kids. There's one good thing. It's like my kids know when they eat, they have to clear their dishes off the table, and they have to wipe the table and sweep the floor. If I walk and I see one time that it's not done, I look at them. I say, hey, did everybody eat? We ate. It was good. I see a couple plates on the table. And see, I know whose plate it is or whose dish it is. Oh, okay. They get up and do it. They forget. Again, I remind them, because by that time they come and ask me for something. I said, wait a minute. Didn't you just eat? Yes. You forgot to do something. She has to wait. Yeah, you're going to have to wait, okay? So, and I started that when they were very young. Clean up after yourself. Even a 2-year-old can wipe off the table. And it might not be completely to your liking, but get them started when they're young. Don't just, or leave the 2-year-old and make the older ones do it. No, you teach the 2-year-old along with the older ones. And see, that's how the 4-year-old does a lot of things. She keeps up with everybody else. I don't make her do it. She wants to do it because she sees them do it. So it's kind of easy for me with her, because she just does the stuff by default. And she's the one that cleans up. If they don't clean up, she'll come and clean up. They didn't do this, and they're supposed to do this, and yeah. So yeah, you have to be on your A game. By no means no, and you better not ask again. Exactly. And I don't want to hear, well, so and so's mom said, or they're
We're gonna keep sharpening every pencil.
So is that good that she's sharpening every pencil? What is she doing?
She won't give me that.
Come here.
Won't stay.
Come here. Come here. Let me see. Now, you know why? Come here. You know why she's saying this? You're sharpening a pencil with this sharpener.
She was sharpening Mom.
Is this her pencil?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this pencil's already sharp. Yes, this is her pencil. But you know what else you're doing? You're sharpening this pencil in this room. What's going to happen to the pencil sharpenings?
It'll make a mess. If you do that.
Where are you supposed to sharpen pencils?
If you make a mess with those, your fingers will turn gray.
Exactly. Do you have a pencil that is sharpened?
Yes.
Okay. take your pencil and your book and go into the living room. She can take her pencil and use her pencil. There you go. My youngest does the same thing. She will tell if the older kids don't do their job. She will fuss about it. See, and you see what happened. She knew she was making a mess with the sharpeners on the floor, so that bothered her.
Mom, look, it come on.
Oh, your eraser can come on.
It's okay. Turn back on.
Here's your new pencil. Your name on it?
Yes.
Okay. Keep up with it. I have my older kids help. So yeah, you have to have them help.
I want my new pencil.
I want, or I would like my new pencil.
I have my new pencil.
Thank you, Zai. Did you guys hear her? She will correct everybody. You're supposed to say it again.
I would.
No, say it again, Zai.
May I have a pencil?
May I have a pencil?
May I have a pencil?
I caught her in a vlog the other day. I don't know what they were doing, but it was because they're always together. And she asked for something. Aaliyah asked for something, and I said, no, she's supposed to do it like this. She's supposed to say it like this. So that's my manners, girl. Ooh, gotta love them. Gotta love them. Yeah. The other one, she's just so demanding. It's just, and she sees that she never gets anywhere because somebody will correct her if I don't. Yeah, you have to have patience. You have to be, stay on them. I could have easily let them argue over the sharpenings and, yelled at her for the stuff on the floor. But I don't do that, not just because I'm here. If the camera wasn't on, the same scenario would have happened. Let's see. She's so cute. Thank you. So, yeah, you have to, like I said, you have to, teach the little ones when you're serious.
Oh, yeah, that's mine.
This says Layla. I think he took his pencil.
He did.
He took his already. Because that one is mine. Yeah, you have to set a good, a good foundation and teach them from the beginning. A little one, not touch. If you don't want them to touch anything or you don't want them to, do something, it has to be a serious no. Because, when kids get one, they learn the word no. And then a lot of times it's, becomes something funny and the parents are laughing about it, but it's not funny. That's when you need to start taking the child seriously and get them out of that habit. You have to break that right then and there. And, because once they get two, everything becomes no. And if you let them continue that road, they get 4 and 5, time to, get up and go to school. No. Okay, well, you've been let me do it, so why should I listen now? When are you doing a room tour? Anybody, y'all want to see a room tour? I'm doing it. I am going to. Didn't you take your pencil? Because you know what? I don't even have any more over here. You had one. Everybody had a new pencil. Mom. And what happened to yours?
I tried to sharpen mine and mine got dull.
Oh, goodness. Well, you're going to have to borrow this one. That one says iron. It's fairly new. I am going to do this. If I say it, I'm going to have to do it. Okay. I've had a lot going on. I'm not gonna make any excuses. By the end of the week. End of the week, I have it up. So that could mean I won't do it tomorrow, but that could mean anywhere from Tuesday to Saturday. I have it done. Now that I said it, I have to actually do it. I don't know. I just been holding out because I just didn't feel like it was. I don't know. It's the same stuff, and I thought it would be boring. I mean, I don't. I'm not. I guess because we're in here all the time, and it just seems like I don't know. Yeah, I just thought it would be boring to see the same stuff. But like I said, there are some things that I've done, and I really want to show you guys those little things. So I guess it is worth, worth sharing, because maybe it can help, somebody, especially on an organization. I think I was saying that the other day, and really that was recorded a while ago. But yeah, on an organization. It might help on that front. And because I was completely I thought I was organized, but I was really completely disorganized last year. Oh my goodness, I'm not talking like last year, 2017, before we moved. It was a mess. It was a complete mess. And I spent a lot of time looking for things, even though I had a lot of things filed away and put away all neatly, but I spent a lot more time looking for things. I would lose things, and they would be in plain sight. I would just lose them, and it just, I don't know. So I had to redo my system, think about what I used to do, and say, hey, I just need to go back to doing this because it works. And I want to see all your wall decor. Yeah. And that's another thing you're going to see. It's really scaled down, and that has a lot to do with the kids. I love the room tours. I watch everybody. And I sit in here myself a lot. And I just sit here and look around, and I just...
I have scared.
You have... Here. And I wonder myself, even if I'm just sitting here quietly or if I'm reading a book, I just look around the room and try to see if this room is appealing. I put myself in their mind, when they're working. I already knew not to have too much stuff on the walls. And I mean just bare minimum. I don't like to have posters of all kinds of junk. It's just junk because it distracts the kids. I would more or less paint a mural on the wall and let that be it. And, something like that. But I don't like to have a whole lot of posters and a whole lot of color. I took away a lot of the colors, and mainly for Layla. Because it's distracting. And so if you watched the math video, you saw what I did with the little flashcards. That's stuff that I would see people put on their walls, charts and all of that. I can't. It's too much. And so, I did enough with my little prayer wall. It's colorful, but it's in my little corner. There are areas back there, so they don't really see when they're sitting. They're not looking this way. They're looking that way because I'm sitting over there. So it's not really a whole lot to distract them. But yeah, I did some neat things in here to get their attention. And then the one thing I did that really, it does help. So I will definitely, I'll start at the beginning. I will share the room and just a little bit of the organization stuff. And tell you where I got the stuff from. It's not something that I had to go and buy. But, yeah. What, I started losing stuff too. I don't know what was going on. That's what I try to do. Try to make it appealing. Yeah. Because I don't like, distraction. I don't like a lot of distraction. We'll have the music on. I turn the music down during the vlogs. But I don't like a lot of distraction. Visually, I don't like a lot of, noises. And partly because I can't hear good. I don't know if you got, well, yeah, I have told you guys that. I'm only partial hearing in that ear. It's like 30%. And so loud noises really, really bother me. So I don't like a whole lot of, I don't like that. It's just too much distraction. But I just, the charts and stuff like that is visual clutter. And you don't need all that stuff. You take out the stuff, when you need it. And, that's why I don't do that Dollar Tree deal. Because, the Dollar Tree, the Dollar Tree posters are over there on the floor. That's the stuff I'm getting rid of. We don't even use that stuff. Some of it, I think I have like some plant cells or something like that. I might pull out. And it's still in the plastic. Because I just, didn't want to use it like that. I wanted to, get rid of it just as new. But, yeah, we don't want all that stuff on the wall. We would like to see your room. It will give us good ideas for our spaces. We moved and lost stuff too. We're probably moving again, but I'm going to make sure to have everything together. Yeah. Moving was a mess. It just, I don't know. I did, put stuff up pretty well, but some stuff was just jumbled. And like I said, papers and things like that. Because there's 4 of them. I don't do a lot of worksheet stuff, but some things like their nature notebooks and things like that. Hey, Sylvia.
On it. Look, this was hers.
Oh, well, go get yours. How are you? I have to use 4 printouts and like their geography stuff, the flags. You have to get 4 of them, so that becomes a lot. When we're just doing something like that, the flags and the map, that's 8 sheets of paper right there. So I will have paper everywhere. I have paper up here. I had to clean all this stuff up. So, yeah. And I know it looks a mess, but it's not. It's, my drawings up there, my samples that we have to get to. They've been asking me to show them. Let me show you guys what I'm going to work on. They are getting ready to work on this. So, or that. I don't know. But they saw it. They thought it was neat. And so they want to work on this little form. So that is why that is up there. And I had another one up here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The spiral. I want to do the spiral. And I can't remember if I started this one inside out or outside. It must have been inside out. I don't know. So, yeah. So if I don't stick stuff up like this, with some leaves, I forget it. So that's all that's up there. But that is organized. I have so much stuff everywhere, but I have everything that I need right underneath me. I'm going to show you my system and how I keep everything organized. And it's right here. All I have to do is pull it out. Just move this well. We really need to get together. Yes, we do. We sure should. I hope the babies are doing well. And you as well. So, yeah. Just try not to keep a lot of stuff. And I had a lot of, I don't even know where I put that stuff. Let me pull up something. A lot of stuff, like I said, I am getting ready to get rid of. Like because there's so many. We don't use this stuff. I was going to say junk, but okay. All these little, even though I like Scholastic and I like Evermore and I like, what's that other one? Even my Spectrum. I love Spectrum. I always love Spectrum. They are out of here. All of them. They are out of here. We're not doing that type of stuff. We haven't been doing it. They don't need that. The kids are well beyond needing, that kind of, building block. The same thing with the books, the textbooks. We're not using textbooks the way we were using the textbooks. It was to get them to understand that this is how you do things. I don't know how else to explain that. Just kind of systematic approach, even though that's not how they really learn, but they needed, some kind of discipline. Okay, this is what we're going to, let's learn, grammar, let's learn this, let's learn that. We're not even using those anymore. What else I was going to say? And also, the textbooks and stuff, in case we have somebody knocking at the door, because, I have had to answer to people and show them actual curriculum. So, that's why the books are here, but we're not doing that. We're not doing that at all. I have a whole organic approach. And so, like I said, you'll understand, the reason in the room, why things are the way they are. And also some of the, you'll see the stuff still here because it's still here. I haven't gotten rid of it, but I'm about to clear this whole room. There are so many books in this room that we don't even need. They're just, they're beyond those books. We're not, some of them were early readers that they've outgrown and they're just sitting here. So I need to just get rid of them.
I'm sorry, he said he wanted more Kit Kat.
Oh. Well,
so we have a croissant.
You may have a croissant. Can you go get them a croissant?
Okay. We're gonna get a croissant.
So yeah, I would just like the little.
He's bringing them.
The little Dollar Tree books. Those other books have, they're obsolete. They have one workbook, and that was the one that they grabbed, and I haven't shared it. I said I would share it after that Dollar Tree Target video, but I did not share it yet.
I see it.
But they have one book, and that one workbook is, to me, is worth having than going to buy those dollar books.
Coming!
Because it's comprehensive and it has everything in it. And take it. No, I don't want any. Thank you very much, though. And once you buy, I think if you're buying those books by the subject that they have there, you're going to spend about $5 or $6, whereas you can get that book for the same price, that one book, and it takes up less space. So yeah, definitely by the end of the week I will have that tore up, and I'll be waiting for the comments. I will definitely be waiting for the comments and the questions and the, whatever. But yeah, I just kind of, I was not ignoring you all. I just, like I said, I kind of felt it would be boring. I finally caught you on the live chat. Michaela loves art. She started spiral art on Christmas break. Wow. She received the spiral art kit. Oh, that's a nice gift. Yeah, my kids are just totally, the simplest little thing, just like those lines. They are so moved by that one little form. And that's pretty much how I've been teaching them to do, to draw anything, because they would make the smallest little things, and I'm like, guys, expand it. And so when you teach them, the basis of art strokes, their curves and their lines and angles, and if you teach them like that, okay, step by step, then they will get it, rather than just say, go draw a tree, or go draw a pumpkin, or, a bird. They're just going to draw some little stick figures. And so they've been doing really well. The babies are doing good. Sleeping right now, except for Layla and baby John. Oh, goodness. You and those babies. Seeing everybody and their babies and having new babies. And no, I don't have any baby fever. No baby fever, not even for a smidget. I'm over it, y'all. I'm over it. I'm over it because I don't know. The child is 4, and I said, okay, maybe one more, but I have to leave it up to. And I said, you know what I can handle? Don't send me anymore. And so I'm at a point in life where it's like, I'm good now. I'm good. And knock on wood, who went through your door? Never been perfect. Well, I had talked about this a while ago, Cynthia. I have my oldest son is, I was about to say, special needs. He's special needs, but not really special needs. He's behavior challenged. And so we have, social workers and just things like that. And so, yeah, we have had people come in because, he is homeschooled, and it's a lot. And I have talked about it. That was the reason why he's been in therapy and long-term therapies and things like that. And so I always get asked, and I don't have to, I could just tell them this, but there are a lot of people I have to answer to, and I don't have time to, backtrack who I told what. So I have to make sure everybody knows. And when somebody does come to the house, because whether it's a therapist or a counselor or, whatever, I show them this is what he does. And they always know they can look on here on my channel and see, and they have to write that down in his records, what he's doing. So I have to have something legitimate anyway to, not to say that we're not using it. I have to use it with him the way I can use it, because he's not the average child. Just, the same as if you would modify something with a special child, but yeah, I have to have something to say this is what he's doing, Did someone try to say you don't teach, you have videos? Yeah. And it is because they didn't know. Hi, Albino. They didn't know. Is dinner ready? Dinner is finished. I myself have not eaten. I've, been in this fast. I will eat after this. I know it's late, but I probably won't go to bed till later anyway. Leftovers. A salad. I have I made some chicken, so I have a chicken salad. But yeah, they're not always, because the first thing they're going to do is question me. I have a YouTube channel. Why are you not managing your child? But it's the complete opposite, because when they come in the room and they come to the house, they don't even expect this room to exist. And then when they see the room, they're like, wait a minute, She has a legitimate school in here. I've never seen this in my life. You know, so people are shocked and amazed when they come in there. They're like, wow, these kids have everything. So, yeah. But, you know, I tell them, I said, look, if you ever need to, you know, you can go ask whoever. I don't need you to watch the videos, but they're here. But you can ask people, you know, just talk to the kids or talk to somebody. But, yeah, I have definitely gotten that. And, you know, the strangest things happen. You know, even though we are in Texas, strangest things happen. So, like I say, you always want to, you know, cross your T's and dot your I's. Because you never know. And if you want to put them, well, I'm not going to say want, if you need to put them back in school. Because you never know when you will have to put them back in school. So you want to have something. You want these kids to actually be caught up, not lagging behind, you know, the public school children. And, you know, they're learning the bare minimum. And if your child, if you're, you know, homeschooling and they don't even know the, you know, what a public school child knows, that's not good. You know, it's good. What I see is a lot of fact memorization in homeschooling and trying to fit all of everything in. That's not even necessary. You don't have to teach these kids each and every little thing. That's completely just, I don't know, it's insane. You don't have to teach them fact for fact for fact. You teach your child how to read, teach your child how to learn, teach them how to find the answers. By the time I was 11, 12-ish, I remember my mom buying World Book Encyclopedia. She would buy the Southwestern books. That's what I would do. Sit down and read. I would read the whole encyclopedia. You know, teach your child to do, you know, she didn't tell me to go read it, but she bought them. So, of course, I'm going to read them. But I just learned, you know, on my own like that. And that's what I do with my kids. I give them the stuff. Hey, you know, we'll read a book. If they're interested in the book, then, you know, good. Later on, we might go back and read the book again, and they'll learn something new. But I'm not here trying to fact drill them or fact teach them. That's rote memorization, and it doesn't do any good for anybody. There's some things I don't even teach them because it's not, you know, it's not even worth it. How was your day? My day was good. My skin is glowing. I'm doing something right. Oh, wow. Well, thank you. Okay. No, I understand, you know, because a lot of people don't, you know, they don't, they hadn't watched that far. Maybe they missed that part in the chat or, you know, what have you. But I share those things because those are, you know, very relevant here. And that's my experience. And the first thing, especially in Texas, you know, a parent will say, well, that's, you know, they can't do that. Yeah, we know they can't do certain things here, but goodness, ambulance going by. There are a lot of things they can do, and you should always, no matter where you are, you should cover yourself. Just like I said, in any case, the child has to go back to school. If you are, I've seen this a lot. The mom, you know, is this sudden illness, and dad has to take over, or grandma has to take over, auntie has to take over. Guess what? Them kids have to go back to school. God forbid you pass away. Them kids have to go back to school. So, you know, you need to have some sort of something to prove up on. And a lot of times what happen is you get ready to take the child to school and they won't let you put that child in the grade that you say that child is in. Okay, I have a 4-year-old. The child is doing first grade work. If I sent her to school, well, she's not even eligible for kindergarten for 2 more years. Not this year, not next year, but the year after. Okay? They would not let me put her in the 3rd grade. They wouldn't do that. You know, there's just no way they would do it. They wouldn't do it with the twins. They would just now be starting kindergarten. And they're 7. Their birthday was November, and they would have started kindergarten this year. And my 5-year-old would have started kindergarten this year had I put them in public school. So, and here, they have to test. They don't have to go to kindergarten legally, not in our state. But they would have had to test 3rd grade level. And that's another thing. Testing. By whose standards? Or you have to know somebody. And they have to have room in the district and in the school for them to go into that grade. If they didn't have the room, say they had room for one more 3rd grader. Which one of my kids would I put in the 3rd, and then I had to put the other one in kindergarten? So, and I was not going to put, 7-year-olds, okay, let's go to school, and then you guys are going to kindergarten, and then a 5-year-old is going to kindergarten. I was not going to do that. That's the one thing I don't agree with here, but that's just how it is. So we would have skipped kindergarten altogether. And in any case, they would have been starting 1st grade when they are almost 8 years old. So, but as long as you have proof and you have a good solid, some records. Oh yeah. We'll say, hey, this little boy, watch him read on the 5th grade, 6th grade level at 5 years old. You give him, he read the Bible, the encyclopedia. Same thing with Layla. Give it to them, they go read it. They understand it. So I don't have to, it's certain things that I put emphasis on helping them, and other things I don't. I put my kids' work in binders. Yes. Yeah, I do keep up with stuff. We use their notebooks are really a good, they're really a good keepsake. So I keep a lot of important things, like you guys will see. I copy things. I'll make a copy of it, and some of the stuff will go in their notebook, and then I'll keep the original, or the original goes in the notebook, and then I'll put the other. But I don't keep everything, because we just can't keep. Like I said, with 4 of them, that's 4 sheets of paper times, 8 subjects. That's a lot of paper right there in a day. So I'm not trying to keep everything. I just, if I had to show them, hey, look at this notebook. And, see what they're doing. Look at the video and see what they're doing, or ask them, what they're doing. So it's funny, they were just sitting here earlier debating. Well, not debating. They were telling me their dad did not know what the blue mosque was. And I said, well, you need to go teach him. If he doesn't know, go teach him. They find it interesting when adults don't know something that they know. So they are quite a wonder. Yeah, all in record keeping. And so I did share record keeping and what I keep in that video, because I did have a request, and that the person that requested was somebody in Texas. And so, I felt that was important. I know there are quite a few of us that are, whether they're vloggers or not, they are watching. And even though we're not held to anything, we're not bound to anything, like I said, you never know when you might have to. And then also, I always encourage, because you may have a child that needs you may have a child that needs to be put under an IEP. And that's something I'm going to talk about. A lot of people kind of shun it because they really don't truly understand it. And I think even if it's just for speech or occupational, I see poor handwriting a lot in big kids, and it's sad. But those kids are eligible for services under an IEP through a public school, and they will come to the home. And so then you also want to have records. And, you know, there are a lot of things. And it's not just that. There's so many things if your child is under an IP that services, you know, I'm talking things like they will get these kids things like museum passes, YMCA passes, or memberships, all sorts of stuff. And people never even think, oh, it's just a public school. But see, they work within it's the social workers. They work within the community. And they really, I mean, they're put in the schools, but they really help everybody. And so there is help. You know, a kid needs speech. You can go through the school. I'm homeschooling. I need speech therapists. They put you through to all sorts of people, and you get in faster because you're going through them rather than trying to get the outside help. And a lot of times you may not have insurance coverage for it, but under an IEP, no problem. Yeah, right. They will put the kids, their grade by age. Yep, they definitely will. They definitely will. And you know, sometimes, you know, I've talked about this too. A lot of people don't even understand what grade skipping is and the damage that it will do. It will do. It's not a matter, oh, my kid can do this and my kid can do that. You know, yeah, the kids reading on 5th, 6th grade level. I would not put my kindergartner or first grader in a 5th grade class. The highest I did it was 3rd grade. And that was a kindergartner. And that was after, I don't know, that was after trial and error. We were still partially homeschooling. I was in California, and you know California has all the perks, the bells and whistles with the warehouses full of Play-Doh to Play-Doh. But we had some difficulties.
Can you hold that for a minute so I can tell you something?
Come here. Tell me in my ear. Okay. Don't do it again.
Okay.
So, what happened? Yeah, I ended up, I was pregnant and I didn't know it, and it was a lot going on, and the child it was a lot. So I ended up, we just kind of switched classes and stuff like that. And I ended up, what happened was she was there physically. We ended up switching school. I got into a magnet school. That was a thing. We switched teachers. Because it was a first year teacher, and that was a problem. So we got an older teacher, and definitely helped. And the work was coming home and going back later on in the week or on Monday. And for the classes that she had to go to the other class, because, you know, the teacher could not teach it, she would go to a 3rd grade classroom with the 3rd graders and do 3rd grade work. So, and then sometimes I was there because I had to make sure that she was okay mentally, she was okay physically, because you put in a kindergartner, you know, just like Doogie Howser in college, you put in a kindergartner in a classroom with 3rd graders. They're on way different levels. And she was a lot smaller than everybody too. So, yeah. But then we had the alternative. I see your question. I'm going to answer in a minute. After testing, and I have that paper. I have to kind of cover the stuff up, or the test score. I have a couple of them. With the child on these standardized tests, when they got missed none or missed 2, you know, when they score that high on the standardized test, they make them take those tests over again. And so she had to take the test over again. And because, see, what it does, they really work on average. They don't tell you. And those tests are really not valid, because one time, one of my kids did not even take those tests because they were out of school for something. Oh, this is another video I need to get up. Um, but yeah, so she tested and they had to do it again. And when they did it again, she got the perfect, whatever, 100% on these standardized, was it twice a year tests or whatever they did. And so they said, well, you know what this means. And so we had to, and I had to, we had to, go with the social worker and sit down and talk about it. And ultimately I let her decide, and it happened again with another one, but I let her decide. I said, do you want to go to the next grade up? Do you want to skip a grade? Is that really going to, do you want to do that? She said no. And so what we did was she stayed in the room with her peers that next year. I was still supplementing at home with homeschooling, but the work she got was the next grade up. So it looked like she was in the same grade. We didn't want the other kids to know or anything, and they didn't even know. We just told her, okay, you don't have to skip. She didn't know at first until she realized, wait a minute, they're not doing what I'm doing. It was a little more complex. Her what do you call it? Her what is the thing they do? Their projects. Her projects were more complex than the other kids, and that's when we finally told them. I had to tell all of them because they were all doing the same thing. We said, look, this is what's going on. Because you guys didn't want to skip, and we felt that you're not going to be challenged. You're going to be rewarded anyway. So, and they were fine with that. At one point until they got to middle school, and they got teased for being the smart kids. But what kind of an IEP, individual education plan? Again, that is for a like I say, special, and special encompasses a lot because it could be just behavior. Okay, my 15-year-old is not autistic or anything like that, but special is his behavior. So that is why we sought IEP, and I need to sit down and talk about that. I still have the question. Somebody was asking me about that not that long ago. It was a phone conversation, and I think, like I said, the misconception is people think it's something that the school forces on you. No, the IEP is what the parents make. I made that IEP. It's whatever I want, however I want his education. My child has a tendency to, he needs breaks, or he just, and you go to, when you're in school, classes are like 45, 50 minutes. He can't sit that long. 20 minutes and he's done. And it just, the kids are distracting him. The teacher's distracting him. He's distracting himself. And so I said, look, he's got to leave the room after this long, for this amount of time. And, all day long, let him go over here. We had a designated spot. We had something for him to do. And, things like that. But it was not anything that the principal or the teacher, and they're there in the meeting. Everybody, it's a whole team of people in the room with you. And you take whoever you want. If you are affiliated with a church, you take your pastor, your layman, whoever. If your child is in trouble, you take the probation officer, that type of thing. You take whoever you need, your pediatrician, whoever. Your family members, anybody can go to that meeting. The more support you have, the better, because they want to see that child is being supported. And so, it's a plan. It's just an individual plan that I write up. I don't want him sitting in here. I don't want him in a special ed class. And that was another thing. All special children do not need special ed. He was in general ed. He just need to be pulled out. And again, like I say, the resources that they give, we were able to find a mentor for him, things like that. And that's something he needed. Of course, it was outside of school, but he had a mentor, and that mentor was awesome. the public schools here focus too much on their testing then instead of learning. Exactly. That's all the school is. Textbooks, it's a system. You use a textbook. It's written for them to take these tests. And like I said, I have them because they're pretty much open and shut, and they do. But I use other resources. I don't just stick to that textbook and say, this is what we're doing, or that workbook. You have to do each and every one. If I see them getting bored or the stuff is getting repetitive, we're going to skip some things. We're going to move on, or I'm going to flip it and do something else. We don't have to go through each individual thing in a textbook, and the kids don't even do it in a public school. They get through half of that stuff. That's why they end up going, they get donated at the end of the year or thrown in the trash. They move on to different textbooks. Right, Sylvia, Texas puts a lot of focus on the star. The kids will fall between. Exactly. Like I said, when I have one, that didn't even take the test, that's how I know those tests are not even valid. Okay? She didn't even have to take the test. And that that's money. They need them kids. We were in the child was having surgery. She didn't take no test. And she didn't take the makeup either. But her score said 100%. So I love being noticed for a while. This is my first time dealing with STAR test because my child, Michaela's in the 4th grade, and that's where they start. Yeah. They have to have. That's what school is. School is it's a system. It's a system of learning, and it doesn't work. It's an organized system, and they put every child in a category to think they can. Thank you.
In a minute, can I have some almond milk?
In a few minutes when I finish, okay? When I finish, they think they can put them in this little box of learning, and they're taught this is how they learn and this is what they're supposed to learn. And it doesn't work that way because not all kids learn that way. They can see you and I can see you. So, yeah. It's an institution. I can see you. Oh boy, what kind of stuff? What kind of stuff will they get in an IP? Like I said, it's something you draw up. There has to be a one. It's the kids that they label. Okay, when you're getting notes, phone calls, and things like that every other day, that's a problem. Okay, these kids cannot be that much of a problem, and if they are, you as a parent should know that your child is a problem. Like I said, a lot of people. Are you serious? You better get off the table. A lot of people know their children are, have problems, and they just ignore it, or just, don't care, or, oh, they're just kids. They're being kids. And, they don't, other people will notice it, and they don't want anybody to say anything, or, I don't know, it just shouldn't be ignored. But yeah, it's something that, you should, it's a red flag when you're getting notes home and things like that. What is that? Oh, okay. Go in the living room. Can you go turn the bathroom light off in there and go sit down? Okay. Thank you.
I have to go eat.
Listen to her. You want to respond back, if they say the child is not doing their work, or the child is, or you see the child, you think the child is coming home every day not doing, the child is bored, or it seems like they're not learning anything. you want to question that. You want to question that. But, usually the teacher or the social worker will bring it to the attention of the parent that some things are going on, because they're going to try to label that child. They will try to put that child on medication, just all kind of stuff. And a lot of kids, are on a medication under IEPs. It's not a bad thing, but that's the first thing they're going to try to do. Don't do that. I wouldn't, if the child have not been medically diagnosed. We went through 5 years of no IEP. We went through 5 years of no IEP because we couldn't get when kids are little. I don't know. These days it's hard. Well, it's easier now. They wouldn't do it a long time ago. It was just put the kid on Ritalin. But these days they're getting a little bit stricter with it. But if you have a good pediatrician, and I mean a good one, our pediatrician has been our pediatrician for over 20 years. Okay. Then they know your kids. And so they wouldn't tell you they wouldn't give you medication or recommend you take your child somewhere for anything if they didn't need it. But it took a while to get him, it was, okay, we need to let him grow because we need to see if this is something that he's going to outgrow. And he got progressively worse. And so, and it's not that, we wouldn't have known it. I just now this year got to the root of where it started. I knew where it started, but the cause of it. And wow, it was a lot.
I left this in the fridge.
But go put it in the fridge. So, but yeah, 5 years of, just going through a whole lot of stuff. And I'm telling you, I was up at the school. You're going to have to wait a minute. It wasn't like I was just sending them to school and ignoring them. And, and I had to do a lot of homeschooling at home. So, yeah, because I know he was sitting out a lot, or he was sitting in another class a lot. Hey, Joy. So there was a lot of supplement. But I was also working at the time, too. Michaela is an A and B student. I heard that even if you're doing really well in school and you fail that test, you will be held back. Yep, that is what they're doing, even though they shouldn't. That's why I said it's not, and that's another thing. What is an A and a B? By what standards? What standards? I will always tell the teachers, and, our teachers were our neighbors, do not give my kids something if they have not earned it. I know what I'm teaching my kids. I know what you're teaching my kids. And, yeah, they should know a lot. They should know a lot about something. Challenge them. Do not let them sit idle. And but you can request the state to pass your child if you have the proof that they tried. You can. Yeah, you can request it. It's a twofold because, a lot of times these kids are passed because the schools are overcrowded and they're not passing them. Now, if you were somewhere like California where there's year-round schooling, half them kids get failed without a heartbeat because it's year-round schooling and they have the room for them. So, yeah. They're just teaching out here teaching in schools to get these kids test passed and not really, worried if they learn what they learn. Now, some teachers are really wholeheartedly caring about these kids, but it's just like any other job. You go in for training and you're trained to do that one thing and that's it. I heard somebody say their child is not even reading. And I'm like, okay, but your child is 6 years old. They've been in school for a whole year. You just now realize they couldn't read. And why did you send your child to school thinking that the teacher's going to teach a child how to read. Do that before they go to school. You know, I have taught in kindergarten. Kindergarten is like a kindergarten teacher, wow. You have to really be on your game to be a kindergarten teacher, because these kids come into kindergarten all over the place. Some of them have never seen the letter A, let alone knowing how to spell their name or the alphabet. Some of them already know it all, and it's just hard to get them even behaving. They're spending more time on behavior. I cannot wait to start homeschooling at the end of the month. Love your channel. Thank you. I am pulling mine into homeschool because he is only at the 4th grade reading level, and he's in the 6th grade, and he got a B in reading. Like, no, give him what he deserves. Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, generally, not all kids are going to be up to their reading levels, you know, but that's just how some kids are. But, again, that's why I put so much emphasis on reading and what they read, okay? You're not getting ready to read a tablet. You're not getting ready to read a Kindle. You're not getting ready to read some comic books. You're going to sit down and read some nice literature. And tis and thou and thou and thee. That's what we're going to learn. Because this Ebonic stuff that I see these days. No way. I'm so grateful myself to be so, I don't know, books. That's all I can remember, being little, having books. I used to play school. Just go outside with 50, 60 books. Let me go back to, I hope I answered questions about the IEP. Like I said, that is something I really want to talk about, you know, not to, like I say, if you're not familiar with it, but if somebody has been posed with it, I think they should know that there are, that mainly that the IEP is something that the parent writes, okay? When I say you write it, you're not going to physically sit there and write it. Well, you can. Once I tell you what to do, you can. You know, it's a format, and like I said, it's a whole big, it's a big meeting. Everybody has to coordinate, so it's something that, you know, you have to schedule in. You know, the other kids, if you have other kids, obviously are not going to be there. But it's a big deal because there's a lot of people involved. But there are questions that you need to be able to ask and have answered in order to make sure that that IEP is actually going to serve that child. The IEP will serve that child all the way through school, and it can be amended at any time. So, you know, if you said, you know, you find that mainstream classroom is not working for maybe one of the classes, you know, maybe you want him in the special class for math. Okay, you can do that. You have the power to do that. If you find that you put him in there and it's just not working, I want to put him back. Put him back. You can do that. They can't tell you that you can't. The whole program is set up for the parent. And so I know in Texas they have done a lot. There's a now I haven't done it, but they started last year. No, last year. I forgot. It's a whole new year. With this, if the child has been enrolled in school 2016, the stipend that they are handing out now, a child under an IEP is eligible for that stipend. So quite interesting what they're doing, but they are eligible for that stipend. And I think they said, I want to say a child that has been in kindergarten and has gone into homeschooling is eligible for that stipend. Now, I haven't read anything for this past year. I just read it last year. No, 2016. I think it was August when that stuff, the propositions came up. But yeah. So, and it doesn't cover supplies. It does cover textbooks. It doesn't cover sports equipment or anything like that. Um, but yeah, it does cover that stuff. And that's what I was saying about an IEP. You know, a lot of these kids are behavior. If it's a behavior thing, these kids, just because they're homeschooled, now you know homeschool kids here are not, and pretty much anywhere, are not eligible for sports. But there are certain ways to get around that. You know, even if you have a child under an IEP in a school and they're even there part-time, they're eligible for sports. They will like these kids to be active because that channels their energy. They're not running around the school tearing up the school or terrorizing nobody. So they'll let them go play. No, you can put that on the shelf though. You can wait and I will look at it because I'm not completely sure that we're ready to use that. Go use your blue book. So yeah, they would more likely let them participate in the sports team, provided that they're not doing harm to anybody. And I don't know what parent would, if you know your child is harmful to other kids, and that's the reason why they're under that IEP, you would let them be involved in any kind of sports. And that's where you go in and ask, okay, well, is there something that we can do at home? And they most likely give you YMCA memberships. But you have to, there's a lot of stuff that people will not tell you. Like, I had to learn a whole lot of stuff. And I just started asking. I said, hey, I don't have the means for this. I have to go, this is a lot. And then I was trying to work while I was working full time. And I'm like, look, I can't get calls at work over this, that, and the other every 5 minutes. I cannot do that. I have to, you guys have to do something. So we did a compromise. And if they are not doing what is in the IP contract, contact the compliance officer. The compliance office. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have a whole lot of rights. They have to serve you. So yeah, I'm definitely I'll sit down and try to make time. I think maybe like once a month I'll work on specialized things like that, because there are things that I know that I just, somebody might call because they know I said something. They'll call and ask me or message me and ask me, and I'll tell them about it. But I haven't really just shared it. But I think once a month I want to try to sit down and talk about stuff like that, and just put it out there. It's just some things that sometimes you may have questions on, and people are not addressing them, and it may be that they think that nobody needs that information, but actually, you'd be surprised. You'd really be surprised. That's why I encourage you guys to always ask questions here and even in the comments, because it might not be for my benefit. Somebody else may know the answer to the question. I may not know the answer. I may not have the resource, but somebody reading the comments may well, have it, or, they could benefit from whatever it is you have to say. So it's a good thing. I'm going to go back up here. But yeah, back to this reading levels. Another thing I want to tell you guys about, the interesting thing, school. And I know a lot of us, majority of us are homeschoolers, but school. There's this one question that everybody always asks you. I don't care what you're filling out, whether it's a job application or a questionnaire for something. This one question always pops up. You ever think about the question? I'm going to tell you what the question is, but there's a reason why they ask that question. Okay? I don't want anybody to turn, because I know everybody's watching this. This is not a racial thing, but it's a racial divide. The question is highest level of education. So they want to know our level, our highest level of education. Now, I don't care what you put, you're you. I don't care. You don't have to tell me. I know what I check because I'm college educated. But that is very, very important in how your children get educated and how your children uh, are brought up in this world, even in college. If you only have a 12th grade education or under, okay, you check that box and then you go register your child for school, guess what? That's the kind of education your child is going to have for the rest of his life. They have already blacklisted that child. Now, I'm not saying it to go for you to go and fabricate anything, but it's a book about that. I can't call it a book, but it's a book, and it's a lot of studies been done about that one question. But that is what it is, and it is a racial thing because, and somebody else was telling me about this. They know somebody, personally that had experienced this. Caucasian woman in her 60s or something like that had only gotten truly a second grade education. Okay, we're talking back in the day, but graduated high school, right? Went to college, right? Well, no, she graduated high school, but in essence, only got a second grade education. But because she was her race, she was offered free college to continue and special help to get up to speed. So actually, she's in college, but right now, 4th grade education, we're talking an elderly woman. But they wouldn't do that for, anybody. They wouldn't do it for anybody. So it's a reason why they ask that question. It's a reason why they ask a lot of questions like that. You have to really think and be really skeptical about, I know it's so easy, to fill in the blank. I'm even skeptical when it comes to typing in my email address for anything or just any kind of information because it's out there. And now the Google has taken over everything. It's regulating everything. They're regulating YouTube. They're regulating all this social media. So all the information, people are not, and not just here, they're not getting videos. Half the stuff we're putting up, they're not getting it. If you're on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere, you're not getting a post. And that's on purpose because they're regulating that stuff. That went into effect on the 15th of last month. And what they're doing is keeping the good stuff and they're hiding that good stuff, So it's a lot of stuff. I don't even know. And YouTube has completely changed, so I don't know what's going on here. It's one of those things where you have to check. You have to physically go to the channels and check to see because you're not going to get, notifications even if you're, subscribing to the notification. Half the time you won't get it. Maybe it's a day later, or something like that. But yeah, it's crazy how they, the government they're whack. Yeah, you have to be careful when you deal with people and answering questions and things like that. Certain things, you can select not to answer those questions. If I would choose to put I got a PhD, then I got a PhD. As long as I've been teaching kids, yeah, I got a PhD. Certain people hand out the certain the right amount of money, then they got a PhD to Harvard, Yale, and wherever they want, and never stepped a foot in a classroom. So yeah, but I'm just saying I have when I look at that question all the time, at least I can check that. But, just be aware that if you don't check that, um, if you don't check that box, they're going to judge you. And then it still comes down to it still comes down to race. It still comes down to race. But, they ask both parents, which one has, maybe one parent is not college educated and one of them is, and all of us are college educated or university educated, not college, university. So it really makes a difference. People look at you differently. And so, I tell my kids when they, when you are educating your children, teach your children to sound, to act like they are educated, even if they are not in school or, if it's outside of school. Teach them to act the way you taught them, and you also should be acting the same way. It shouldn't be, well, we speak this way when we're in school, but when we're at home or we're out in public, we're going to talk this way. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. I said my kids did get a lot of, flack from other kids because kids are cruel.
Mom, I have some thoughts on my belly.
Okay, I'll check in a little bit. They were bothered by the fact that kids were calling them the smart kids and, the nerd kids but it is what it is. They were outstanding to the ones that mattered, and those were the teachers. The same kids that teased the child for being smart had to watch her walk across the stage and receive the valedictorian for the year. So who's laughing? I'm trying to think of anything else I wanted to say. So room tour, RP. I don't know. Like I said, it's just a whole list of things. I decided I was not, because I got caught up on this on these books. I'm still looking at this open tab on this Rainbow resource. I did not get a vlog up, but that was my my thing. I wanted to get a vlog up, so because I didn't do that, I went ahead and did this live. But I will get a vlog up. I know somebody might be interested in I shared on Instagram the dolls, the peg dolls. That's not anything new to us. And it was funny because one of the kids were trying to say, we didn't do that. And I said, yes, you did. I have some pictures somewhere. I haven't found the pictures yet. But when I say I'm finding pictures and I find the pictures, are like, oh, yeah, we did. And there was something else we used to do. And one of the kids, it was the big kids, and said, we didn't do that. And the other would say, yes, we did. And there was a big debate about it for a few minutes. I don't know. I think I had stopped the camera at that time. But yeah, it's funny. As soon as I say, let me get the pictures for the records, they say, oh yeah, now I remember. So, but yeah, I want to share the peg dolls and something else that they have done. Because that's something they always do. I don't know. They always take that stuff. And I don't even know if I have all of them. I know some of them are in the room. But that's something they use. And I just want to give you guys a different perspective. Because I know sometimes you think they're all, I'm not saying I'm the only one. It's a lot of people that use them. But it's nothing new to us. It's something old. Because I like crafts and stuff like that. But there are other ways to use those things. Like, I think I pulled it apart. one of these little projects we got going is this, the God's Eye. So I will share that kind of stuff. This is not new to us. This is old. I just never really shared that kind of thing. So, do you ever feel like you're never doing enough? Nope. And I hear that a whole lot of days from a whole lot of people. And it makes me just, and I'm not saying I'm above anybody, but because you cannot do it all. And that's not your goal. Like I say, you have to have faith in what you are doing. It's not up to you. You have to have faith. He is going to give you the doing enough. Because in life, in general, we are never doing enough. That is why we have relationship problems, family problems. We are struggling in our finances. We are depressed. We are we're addicted. We are, okay, because we're not doing enough. So, no, I don't ever feel like that. I don't, honestly, I don't. I have watched, because I have the older kids, and that's what I constantly try to stress to you all, that I see the end. You have to have an end. You have to see the end. And I see the end. All of these kids, life situations, kids are not cheap by any means. Yes, we are all educated. That was our as parents, that was our thing. These children must enter, they must be accepted, okay? They must be accepted into university. We don't care if it's university come to Jesus, okay? We don't care. You have to be accepted. You don't have to go. You have to be accepted. That is our standard, because we all did it. Our parents were not all university or college educated, and we set a standard for ourselves as parents that, when we were young, we saw our parents, and my mom was in a cotton field, okay? Daddy was too, but we saw more for ourselves, and we strove for more, and we said, look, if we're getting ready to do all this for the kids, they're going to have to do a step further, okay? I don't have a PhD, but I bet you one of my kids might. I don't know. Maybe they won't, but who knows? And I was talking to somebody else. One of my children's godparents said the same thing, because I asked them, and they're, what are you doing with these kids? Because they're all up there, and I'm like, how do you do this? And actually, their son graduated from Duke. He started Morehouse and graduated from Duke. Like my daughter. And so that's what they said. They kind of, and so that was already our thing. And I'm like, oh, so that's not too much to ask. No, it's not too much to ask. So, yeah, they have to, that is our one thing. They have to get accepted wherever they end up. That is ultimately up to them if they choose to go, but they have to get in, because we did a lot to get them where they needed to be, to give them, an edge on life. And, it's their choice. And so far, so good. I see the end. We watched this child. I didn't say anything about the money. I had the Cosby deal where you writing the tuition checks and send it, $65,000 worth of college, university was thrown our way from that one school. It was over $400,000. That's how much she got from all the schools that wanted her. If that's not a blessing, I don't know what is. From nothing. We didn't have really anything that we could say, because there's so many of them. A lot of stuff happened. Like I said, life issues. Just a lot of unexpecteds. We're not rich. But I'm showing you, we did it. Okay? We did it. The child she don't have to do anything. She got a job with the whole package. She's not hungry. Her laundry is paid for. Okay? It's too far to come home, but that was all in the package. So you can do it. You just have to be able to have faith that you can see the end and you won't become so overwhelmed at all. So I've done enough. I have done enough. And if anybody begs to differ, that's them. But I know I've done enough with that one. And if that one is the only one that makes it, one. Because a lot of times, many, have, multiple children and none of them end up doing anything. Right now, I don't know. My one is going to be 18 in a couple of 2 weeks or something. No, in 10 days. She graduates this year. That child can go to Italy if she wants to. She can go to Hawaii. Where else were they asking for her? Canada? I don't know what she's going to do. She may stay right in UT, Texas, in Austin. I don't know. UT is very hard to get into. A lot of kids come from India into UT. It's very hard. But we know that is, she's going to get a lot thrown. The older one could have also, because that was one of her top picks, and they threw a lot on the plate. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with her. Well, we shall see. I think she's trying to go to California. It was New York, but I think she's trying to go back to California. Yep, I just, like I said, I don't feel less. My kids don't want to college. They want to go to military. Hey, that's fine, because a lot of times they end up, just teach them, use your resources, because they're throwing out money to go to school. Because see, what happens is a lot of my friends that I went to high school with went into the military and they got out and they're like 40, they high ranking and couldn't get a job. So encourage them, take that money and go to school with it. The military is not the way it used to be. The military really, veterans are struggling these days. I'm not trying to talk bad, but make them understand that, okay? That they really need to use that money to further their education. Because when they're ready to get out, and they probably will, especially with today's world, they're just going to kick them to the curb. Half of them don't have benefits. It's sad. It is truly sad. At one point I had thought about it, but then I said, no, I don't want to, I don't want to do that. But yeah, everybody I know that went to school and went to the military, they said it was a mistake. So, but like I said, it's even if my child said that he wanted to go, it's up to them. It's up to them. It's something that they want to do. And I don't know. I think my son did say that. His dad was in the military and he told him don't go. He got out. So, I don't know. The thing we did get out of that was the, you get your what do you call it? I don't even know if they still call it the GI Bill, the VA loans, the VA. That's how we got all the houses. So that is a perk. I talked to you guys. I own my first house that I built from the ground at 21 years old. And then bought another house from the ground a couple years, like 2 years later. So I was just thinking about that house. I'm going to show you guys that house one day. It's in Dallas. I still remember the address. It was the biggest, prettiest house. Little did I know it was cream inside and out. You don't buy a cream house with kids. Live and learn. Live and learn. It was so nice. My carpet, my walls, everything was cream. And I just, oh boy, yeah. But I had to, I picked that house when I was, actually I had to build it from when I was in California. I could not travel because I was pregnant. And back then they didn't have I don't know if they do it now. We went into the office to see it, but or to pick out the stuff, or went to the whatever. But I had to pick out everything from a videotape. That's how long ago that was. So I had to pick out my brick color and my the walls and everything, the carpet, all of that from a videotape. But I did pretty good though, and my husband was here. He was living here because he had already gotten another job and he had already moved up. And when the house was finished, we moved. Well, the kids and I did. So, but yeah, that was the benefit to being military. But yeah, I wouldn't, just take your time. You have to pray about it every day. You have to pray. When I say keep your knees dirty, that means I'm praying. I keep my knees dirty. Sometimes I just have to stop what I'm doing. When I hear somebody say, "Oh, I was yelling at my kids, close the door, or don't do this, or don't do that." The boy was climbing on the table. Most of the time, you're going to yell at your kid. Now, even if you were not here, I wouldn't have yelled at him to get off. He knows better. He knows if he get hurt, then he's just hurt. He's SOL. But yeah, I have to pray about it. And what I say about teaching, I teach my kids how to learn. I don't teach my kids anything. I teach them how to learn. I don't give them answers. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot teach them to drink. And so I can give these kids all the finest education, all the finest high class curriculum and all of that. That don't mean they're going to learn anything. That don't mean they want to learn anything. You teach them how to learn. Here's this, here's that. Make sure you know how to read this, and make sure you know what a comma is. Make sure you know what a question mark is. Verbs, adverbs, and all of that, so you can understand what you're reading. That's what I'm going to teach you. That's me. After that, if you want to know where Georgia is, there's a map. If you want to know who live in Georgia,